Hi guys, this is Tablet-News.com and I'm here with something new, the HUAWEI MatePad 11.5S Paper Matte Edition. So it has a matte screen which protects it from reflections and also comes with accessories such as the stylus with the near-link support and also this keyboard case which protects it and allows it to be used as a, laptop. The price should be around 500 euros, at least in Europe, and we have here a pretty solid bundle for students with quad speakers, also a rather generous screen and even a camera with a flash at the back side. So let's start the review. First of all, I'm going to talk about the design and I'm going to remove this cover in order to get things going. Okay, so design-wise, we are treated to a pretty slim and light device with a metal case. Of course, it's aluminum. It measures only 6.2 millimeters in thickness and weighs 510 grams. It has curved corners and a pretty decent grip. The back and the front are also pretty well finished, so it's not a slippery device and you have enough room for your thumbs here if you're going to be watching some videos. It's pretty easy to wield even with a single hand because the weight is very well balanced. We have the power button here on the left side and the volume buttons here at the top side, plus a bunch of other microphones and some pin connectors at the bottom. Not much to say aside from the premium design, premium construction and a matte finish all around. There is a matte screen and also a matte back. Okay, so the screen is possibly the selling point here, and I'm actually shocked by its I would have to say the refresh rate is the shocking part. It's 144 Hz, it's a 11.5-inch panel and it's a TFT LCD here with a resolution that's 2800 over 1040 pixels. Once again, TFT LCD, 84% screen to body ratio and the amazing 144 Hz. Now the panel you're seeing here will be put to the test in a minute now as you open up YouTube and check out this test clip. You can see for yourself that there are reflections here in the room I'm filming, but the matte screen, the paper matte screen, helps with that. And that's great because you're probably also going to be watching some Euro 2024 matches on it. So, even though it's a TFT, it has a pretty decent level of brightness, some pretty crisp colors, and I would say decently wide view angles. Even the contrast is quite good in full sunlight. And aside from that, we did a measurement for the brightness and achieved 608 lux units. It's above the iPad 10 from 2022 and the Nexus 7, but it's below the Galaxy Tab S9 FE Plus. Now, I should probably also mention that Huawei implemented here some special eye comfort features. So if you go here to the display, you get your eye comfort, which can be scheduled or filtered so it will not bother your eyes as you do your daily activities. Now, moving on from the screen, which is quite satisfying, let's talk about the specifications. Okay, so it's a mid-range hardware here, and first of all, let's talk about the CPU, which is something we don't see every day. It's of the Kirin variety. It's actually a Kirin 9000WL with 4 cores at 1.53 GHz, 6 cores at 2.15 GHz, and 2 cores at 2.49 GHz. So a deca-core CPU, which is something you don't see every day. Now the other specs here include 8 gigs of RAM and 256 gigabytes of storage. So yeah, that's pretty important. And as far as the specs are concerned, well, we also did a bunch of benchmarks, and let's see how that panned out. Okay, so the benchmarks include Antutu 10, and here we are, surprisingly beating the Galaxy Tab S9 FE Plus, but we're below the MatePad Pro 13.2. In Geekbench 6, we're actually doing quite well, beating the previous MatePads we tested, and Tab S9 FE Plus, surpassed by the iPad 10 in the single core, and the multi-core pretty much the same results. If you want some gaming, there's 3D Mark Slingshot, but we don't have many tests here, so in general, we're caught between former flagships and the previous mid-rangers from Huawei. Yet now let's see if there's any overheating or things like that. So temperature in benchmarks only 35 degrees Celsius and in games 31, so it's a stranger when it comes to overheating. Now as far as the battery is concerned, we have here quite a generous unit, 8800 mAh, which charges 22.5 watts via wire and the 5 watts wire charging, reverse charging I mean. So you can charge other devices using its USB-C port from this side. Now the actual results of the battery are here. So 14 hours and 4 minutes of video playback. Not the worst, but also not the best. I mean, it surpasses Galaxy Tab S5e, Galaxy Tab S4, HUAWEI MatePad 11 and the Xiaomi Pad 5, but it's below the likes of the MatePad Pro 13.2, MatePad 11.5 or the Galaxy Tab S9, which is 6 hours higher. So yeah, could be a bit higher this one. When it comes to continuous usage, a pretty satisfying 12 hours and 1 minute above the Xiaomi Pad 5 and the Tab S6, while below the MatePad 11 and the Tab S9 FE Plus. Not bad in the end, compared to other MatePads, it's right there. Okay, so if you're also wondering about the charging, that's usually a problem for tablets, which require 3 hours or something like that. I'm actually shocked. Just 1 hour and 11 minutes is the fastest charging tablet we've had recently, and the second one is also a Huawei. Now, when it comes to the acoustics, we're actually treated to something cool. We have 4 speakers, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's what we're getting here. So I'm also going to put them to the test. Okay, so I'm actually shocked by the quality of the bass here. Plenty of volume, and even in games, things are not distorted. Now let's see some results here. We have a decibel meter test, and let's see what came out of that. So we go to the tests here, and we go to the volume power. We achieved 86.7 decibels at the top side with the acoustic sample, and at the bottom 85.6, so pretty well calibrated. I would say we're between the previous mid-range MatePads and the higher end MatePads, so basically above MatePad 11.5 and above the Lenovo Yoga Tab 3 Pro, but below the iPad Air 2 and below the Nokia N1 or the Xiaomi Pad 5. That's where we're at when it comes to an acoustical sample test. When it comes to gaming, 87.4 decibels. We definitely want more here, something like 95 or 100, so not very mind-blowing, in the vein of the MatePad 11.5 before it, not the Paper Mate 1. Okay, so we're below the Tab S8 Ultra, we're below the MatePad Pro 13.2, Tab S6, we're beating some older models here, so not a record breaker, but definitely a lot of bass, that's something to remember, and a satisfying voice in the Netflix TV shows. Now, when it comes to the camera, yes, we do have cameras here, so I think we're going to have to start with the back one. It's a 13 megapixel shooter, this one here, with a LED flash, which actually shocks me, f1.8 aperture, and it films in Full HD at 30 frames per second. Now, there's also a front camera here, which, as far as I remember, should be an 8 megapixel unit. And this 8 megapixel unit also has Full HD capture. I'm not going to bore you with too many options here, but we do have them. So yes, there's a beauty mode here, which you can activate or deactivate. You can also turn this around. You have beauty, photo and video. Those are the core features to play with. There's also more section for panorama, time-lapse and stickers. Believe it or not, this tablet has been tested by us when it comes to pictures, and we have about 20 of them. I would say the colors are pretty legit when it's, well, when we're taking indoor shots. The tablet is good enough. Just be patient enough for it to properly focus and take the shots. Don't expect anything more that you'd get from a mid-range phone from, let's say, 3 or 4 years ago, priced below 500 euros or things like that. This is one of the videos we've captured here. It shows its limitations. It looks like an entry-level handset, so maybe stick to the video calls and just taking photos of random stuff next to you, because when it comes to close-ups, it's actually quite solid. Okay, so we've done with the camera part. Now let's talk about the connectivity. The device provides you with connectivity like Wi-Fi, the 6 even, Bluetooth 5.2. There's no GPS, there's no NFC, and there's no radio. We do have an USB-C here, and sadly there's no cellular version of the device, so you cannot take calls, and you also cannot take texts and do browsing when you're on the go. Now, aside from that, I want to talk about the connectivity test that I did, and I was actually shocked by the quality and the speed of the Wi-Fi, up to 750 megapixels, 868 megapixels in download, 842 megapixels in upload, so I would say we're doing quite fine. Okay, so we're bringing back the accessories and talking about software. The OS and UI is Harmony OS 4.2.0 on top, based on Android 12, which means you can still install applications via APKs with no problem, as if this were Android. We also have the Huawei app gallery here, which lets you install a lot of applications, and also there's the Gbox solution, which now creates a way to access the, well, Play Store, like this. And you're treated to all the famous apps like Sky Showtime, Disney+, HBO, and Fashion Days, and a lot of other stores. You also have the Google apps, you have Gmail, you have YouTube Music, you have Google, which you can install thanks to micro G straight here. So for example, if I want to install something like let's say Google Docs. I just write it. Micro G is already installed. I press install here, and my account, my Google account, which is already set up, will be synced. That also applies to Google Drive, Google Sheets, and a lot of other applications from Google. So yeah, no problem whatsoever when it comes to that aspect. Now, when it comes to connectivity, there's something special here. Huawei came up with a standard called Near Link. It's better than classic Bluetooth and better than other things like that because the synchronization is instantaneous. And while other styli offer you 2400 levels of pressure, this one increases. From what I know, this special type of M Pencil can even go up to 10,000 levels of brightness. That's quite fine. The charging is happening right now with the stylus at the top. It's the M Pencil 3 and you can do a lot of writing with it. You can do a lot of painting with it. The stylus has to be stowed like this. That's the ideal stowing, even though at times the magnet may place it in a weird way. And you can take notes here via the note-taking application. So you can create a new note, even have it ruled if you want, or have it blank. Okay, and then start working on it. You can opt for handwriting paper and get going. So you can write something like it's a very pen on paper experience. It's very real time, it's very accurate and quite fast. My writing is horrible, but yeah, that's one aspect. Of course, you can also have regular text here written via keyboard. You can integrate pictures or whatever you want. And this is the note-taking application. There's also Go Paint. You can actually paint using a wide variety of brushes. You have line art, sketching, painting, watercolor even, inking, textures, grain, materials. And I'm actually curious about the watercolor here, dry streak. So if you're into drawing and things like that, you'll be very happy with the responsiveness of the stylus. So yes, you have productivity, you have creativity, and you have those apps available here for you with App Gallery now serving you everything you can need from the Google ecosystem. And even if you need Google Drive, by the way, pretty comfy keyboard with a decent travel of the keys, and I would say it's a decent laptop replacement for a student. Google Drive available to download as well. Okay, from here, install it, and there should be no problem. So you can sync your work via cloud to your mates, to your schoolmates, to your workmates, and have everything available. Just open it up and your account will be synced via Micro G. You can use your Google account here and there will be no problems whatsoever, and you can work with your colleagues. Aside from that, I see there are multiple note-taking applications here. So once there's notes, then there's the notepad. And I also noticed one more here, the M Pen Zone. It's a dedicated area where you can install applications related to the stylus, which is quite a useful feature, which I love to see on other devices. You have PDF readers, you have annotations, you have ZenBrush, you have so much more. This can also be useful for the kids. Now, of course, you can do some customization for the interface here, unless I'm mistaken. Like we happen on Android, we have service widgets, which are quite good looking if you've seen them on Huawei devices. They're a comfy way to access features within apps without having to actually open the apps. And of course, if you swipe down from here, you see the control panel, and you can do interconnectivity with Huawei phones and Huawei laptops. There's a multi-screen collaboration feature which lets you, for example, do some mirroring or some transferring of your phone stuff to your tablet. Aside from that, you can swipe from here to see the notifications, and if you swipe from here and go here, you got your settings, which are basic. There's connectivity, there's super device, which lets you create a sort of a galaxy of devices around it, like a smart speaker, like a pair of headphones, like a laptop, and more from Huawei. Home screen and style can be customized from here with themes and wallpapers and online content. Biometrics and password, you can use face recognition for unlocking, and then there is security here with app lock, password vault, find device, privacy, digital balance showing you how much of your time you spent in apps, and Huawei Assistant, which is basically Celia, and system and updates. That's it in a nutshell, and that's everything you can do with this tablet. I love the fact that the display is made and the stylus has an instant response to your interaction. And I think it's time for the verdict. Let me pull off the device from here. By the way, you can also prop it up in multiple ways and just open a part of it if you want to access it only for movie watching. So on the Pro side, an excellent screen which protects your eyes and offers real feel pen on paper. We got a stylus and keyboard bundled in most countries. Very fast Wi-Fi. The fact that we have a G-Box here available with the Play Store is always a big deal, plus micro G with the Google Apps and Google services. Quality speakers, real stereo, a reasonable battery, especially when it comes to continuous usage, and very fast charging. A comfy keyboard, and it's actually pretty good for multitasking, this device here. And of course, there are the pre-order bonuses, which are always welcome. Now, on the cons side, there is no GPS, there's no 4G version, there is no micro SD that we know of. And I would also have to say that the camera isn't much, even for a tablet. And the performance, I would say it's mid-range. In the long term, you may find yourself wondering if Android 12 and the HarmonyOS based on it is enough. However, there's something called HarmonyOS Next coming, which should get rid of all potential problems. Okay, so this is the end of the review. I'm impressed by the very high refresh rate, which is 144 Hz. I find it to be a bit overkill. We don't actually need that much, but I do understand the need for a matte screen when you're using the device outdoors or indoors, and a smooth experience with the stylus and the keyboard. A tablet for students, I'm expecting special bundles and reductions for them, and maybe the successor will have a low refresh rate to save the battery. That's it from us. Goodbye.